Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Which goalkeeper should Manchester United be looking at this summer? Now, I'm a massive fan of David De Gea. He'll be 32 in November. Conceivably, he could stay as Manchester United's number one for another 4 or 5 years, and that could still happen. But I think there are two valid points here. One, can David De Gea be the keeper in a system that Ten Hag may want to be playing over the next 2 or 3 years? And secondly, we definitely need another goalkeeper. I don't think Dean Henderson, when we go through some of these goalkeepers, stacks up. And I don't think Depravka's going to stay. So you do need to bring another goalkeeper in. Now, I think the ideal goalkeeper has to be somebody who is still a world-class shot stopper like David De Gea, but has the abilities that maybe David De Gea has been lacking for the last few years. Speed off his line, ability on the ball. So I would be looking, and I suppose the question is, do you go for somebody who's ready to take his spot, or do you go for a developmental player who spends the next 2 years under De Gea, learning how to be a Manchester United goalkeeper, a shot stopper, and then takes the role? It depends what you want. And we've got 5 here to go through. So let's go through it. And I'm going to start off with Unai Simon. I'm sure I'll get the names of these wrong. Now, this is an interesting one and is probably a little bit too political for Manchester United to do it. Plays for Bilbao, 25 years of age, is the current Spanish number one. So could you keep De Gea and bring Simon in? I probably don't think you could. So I think one thing you've got to consider is if you go for a goalkeeper like this, then you've got to move David De Gea on, who is on big money. So maybe we need to lean towards something a little less controversial than Unai Simon, maybe more development, or somebody who's willing to, work with De Gea and challenge De Gea over the next couple of years. I think Unai Simon is probably very, very unlikely. But look, the reason he has De Gea's spot for Spain is because he's good on the ball. And all these goalkeepers that we're going to look at, and I've got a wild card to throw in at the end as well. All these goalkeepers that we're going to look at, they are good on the ball. And that is something, there is no point in us bringing in, as I said a couple of weeks ago, Oblak, who is just De Gea, really. Very, very good shot stopper, but not so good with the ball at his feet. Not bad, but not, look, we've already got one of the world's best shot stoppers. And there are question marks over his distribution. I think Ten Hag can get more out of him, but if he doesn't, then there is no point bringing a goalkeeper in who's a good shot stopper but isn't amazing with their feet. So we've got to go with someone like that. Unai Simon would be a consideration, but I think it's a bit far-fetched and probably a little bit too sensitive to bring him in, who took De Gea's number one spot at Spain. But he is a consideration. He's a good leader as well. He's done a lot in his career. I mean, he's 25 now, but I believe he replaced Kepa all those years ago. And obviously, he's Spain's number one. But he's very communicative. He's a leader. He's confident, and that's something that as a goalkeeper. I mean, we speak about this with Dean Henderson. He's too eager to please. It's almost like it's the Dean Henderson Football Club rather than who he plays for. A goalkeeper needs to be calm, concentrated, and focused, and that's something with David De Gea that we've always had. Obviously not when he first came, but Simon has got that as well. So it is a trait that's very, very important, especially, most important of all, you're going to be Man United goalkeeper. You can be a brilliant goalkeeper in the French league. You can be a brilliant goalkeeper in a mid-table La Liga club. Can you be a brilliant goalkeeper playing for Manchester United? Because that brings its own pressure, as we know. Option 2, and I'm sure they're a favourite for you, is Robert Sanchez at Brighton. Look, there are many things that are positive about Robert Sanchez. He is fantastically good aerially, very, very quick, brilliant shot stopper, very confident with his feet, Premier League proven. These are all ticks in the box. And I also feel, I think he's Spain's number 2 as well, but I also feel with him, he fits a very interesting profile. He's not a development player, but would he be happy to come to Manchester United and, not necessarily take De Gea's spot split straight away, but take it over the next sort of season or two? It's an interesting one. I think Brighton will lose him pretty soon. I mean, looking at him, contract 2025, 24 years of age. Look, he'd be one of those ones that would be top of the list for me. Near the top of the list. He does tick a lot of the boxes. Very good on the ball, as I said. Very good in the air. Very mobile. And yeah, I think he has. There's not a lot more to say about Sanchez. I'm sure many of you would go with him as well. And I want to see you in the comments giving us your top three, because I'm going to give you mine. So number 3 is Lafont. Now I do like this player, and he is the most appealing player in relation to fee. Playing in the French league at the moment with I think it's Nantes. He is out of contract, not this summer, but the summer after. So they'll be looking to move him on next summer, which is when we're going to be looking to get a goalkeeper. He's currently 23. He is probably the best development goalkeeper of the lot. And what I mean by that is, you bring him in next summer, he probably doesn't take De Gea's spot straight away, but over the next year, he works with De Gea and probably takes it the year after. That, for me, may be the best option. That doesn't mean he doesn't start next season, but it just means that, you know, you have that sort of passing of the guard thing. I think we're gonna need a very specific goalkeeper that comes in and just takes De Gea's spot and we move De Gea away. I personally think the transition needs to be De Gea stays and the new goalkeeper comes through. And Lafont might pick that because, 1, his price is going to be very good. 2, his age, he'll only be 23, 24 by next summer. And again, he's almost, I wouldn't say he's as good as Robert Sanchez, but he's very similar to that. Very tall goalkeeper, very agile, very good at shot stopping. But there are some development areas there that Ten Hag can work and mould him. And that might be a good idea when we're transitioning. So I like this player. He's probably the cheapest. He's the youngest. And he's the most gettable because of his contract. And he would also come in and be development as well. And when I say development, I don't mean he's going to be like Heaton as a bench player, but I think he's somebody that if you wanted to go through the transition run where you put him in the team, things go wrong, you bring De Gea back in, or you put De Gea in and he's coming, they just work together for a year. That might be a good idea. That might be a good idea. So I do like the idea of Lafont. Martinez I've thrown in there because I believe he's about 30 now and his contract's 2027. He's probably the least likely I would go for, current Aston Villa goalkeeper, but I think he's better than Aston Villa. And I think that whether he would leave Aston Villa or not, I don't know. But he is an all-round. I wanted him to sort of represent what is out there. There's quite a lot of goalkeepers out there that would suit this role. He's decent with the ball at his feet. He's a good shot stopper. He's good in the air. And you know, he might be a goalkeeper that you could bring in. I think the problem with him is at 30, he would want to be number 1 with Manchester United. And is he? Yeah, again, it's that sort of he'd come in and want to be the goalkeeper at Manchester United. Now, is he the profile of goalkeeper? I don't think he. There's nothing wrong with him, and you can definitely say in certain areas he'd be better than De Gea, but I just don't feel that I would want to swap De Gea for Martinez. And many people will be saying you're an idiot, but it just doesn't appeal to me as much. But I think it could be an option that Man United look at. It depends what the budget is, really. And then this one, I think, is somebody that most of you will be aware of. And I have got one more wild card as well. So I can't pronounce his name. Maignan, who is a French goalkeeper at AC Milan. He's currently 27 with a contract of 2026. So he's very difficult to get out of AC Milan, and I think he'd be one of the more expensive ones. But very, very mobile goalkeeper, very confident with the ball at his feet, and a superb reflex shot stopper. So again, you would be bringing in a goalkeeper here that would want to be number 1 straight away, which ticks the box for some of you as well. He'd be a high-profile goalkeeper. I think his style of goalkeeping would suit the Premier League, and he'd basically be what a lot of you want. He would be that goalkeeper that's a fantastic shot stopper. He was also very, very good with the ball at his feet. The question marks about him would be the fee, because he's got a long contract at AC Milan and AC Milan doing well. And the second thing is, you know, I'm not comparing him to Fabian Barthez. That was a long, long time ago. But there can be an adjustment period when you're talking about goalkeepers coming into the Premier League. And if we go back to Martinez, Premier League goalkeeper, Lafont would need an adjustment period, but he's younger and would be developmental. So, you know, Lafont over Maignan, I think Lafont suits us better because Maignan would want to be number 1 straight away, and if he doesn't adjust well to the league, but Lafont, you could do that transition with De Gea, so I think that would work. Sanchez obviously is Premier League proven as well. Now I think that for me, my top 3 would probably be Sanchez from Brighton, Lafont as the number 2, and I'm going to throw a wild card in. I don't mind the ones that we've done, but there was just there was just one. I've sort of done this on the hop, but there's one card. Just before we started, I haven't got a card for him, but it's David Raya at Brentford. There was just one thing that popped into my head when I was preparing for this video, and it was against Arsenal at the weekend. The ball flew at him, and he just took it down like a magnet. And I was like, that's almost like he's playing centre midfield, not goalkeeper. He is a good shot stopper, Raya. Now, I did do a little bit of research. He's 27, and his contract runs out in 2024, I believe, which is the same as Lafont. Aerially, he's very, very good. His passing ability and his touch is very, very good. So he's sort of, for me, my top three are Robert Sanchez, Lafont, and then Raya. And Raya, you've got Sanchez, who I think is a great all-rounder and he's Premier League proven, and he is 24, so years ahead of him, aerially good as well. You've got Lafont, who's a little bit younger, more developmental, but very, very good goalkeeper. And then I think you've got Raya, who's a little bit older, who his contract is out in a year. Basically, in the summer, he'll have 1 year left on his contract. Now, he might sign a new contract at Brentford this season, in which case that changes. But I think those three are the most interesting profile for me. Two of them are Premier League proven in Sanchez and Raya. Two of them have only got 2 years left on their contract, which means next summer they're either got to sign a contract or they're going to go cheap, which is Lafont and Raya. And then I think Robert Sanchez is probably the best of the three. So I would go with Sanchez. But it depends what you want. Depends what you want, because I personally feel that there's two things I would say. I love David De Gea. I don't really want him to go. I want him to stay at Manchester United and be our goalkeeper for the next 3 years. But what needs to happen is he needs to keep improving like he has done in the first month under Ten Hag, and he's got to get to there. And I think he's sort of, and I'm talking about his, his ability off the line, his passing and everything like that. De Gea's got to be there by the end of the season to stop us going buying a player like that. At the moment, I think from last season, his distribution, everything was probably down there. And I think at the moment, he's probably moved up a little bit. He's got a long way to go. I want that to happen. I want him to get up there. Now, whether he can do or he can't do will be interesting to see. If that doesn't happen, then it's whether you move De Gea on in the summer and whether you can do that, or whether you bring in a goalkeeper that's going to compete with De Gea. And for me, I think Lafont works good as development, but Sanchez might work well as well if we can get hold of him, because you know what, Brighton, Potter, maybe that happens. But get your top three in the bottom. Let me know what your thoughts are. Very interesting, and certainly an area that we have to go for. And I would just say this, I've not mentioned the word Dean Henderson once, because I think every goalkeeper I've discussed is a better goalkeeper than Dean Henderson, and I would not have him as an option. But we must admit, he could be a free option back next summer who takes that number one spot. For me, I think that's a big mistake. I would be looking at one of these lads. Get your comments in below. Let me know what you think. Smash a like on the video and subscribe. We're going to be doing right backs next and work through midfield and attack over this international break.